I recognize the member from Gagetown, Pitiquiddiac.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And it's certainly an honor for me to rise today to speak on this motion and certainly to follow the eloquent words from the member from Kent South. You know, coming up to 100 years, in April the 9th, we'll be celebrating the 100th anniversary of Vimy. You know, when I look around this house, I'm certainly fortunate because I had the opportunity of visiting Vimy Ridge. And when I visited Vimy Ridge for the first time, it had probably been only 47 years after the battle. And I can tell you, even as a young fella of, about 13, 14, it's still very, very moving to have the opportunity to visit a site that is so endearing to all Canadians. And I'm going to tell you that it's sacred ground, and it's felt that way by not only the French, but all over Europe. Canadians are held in such high regard. And to think that really it all started from Vimy Ridge, which really brought it home to us. I'm certainly honored that one of my grandmother's relatives' name is etched on the memorial. That's W.L. Cook. They were from northern New Brunswick, the Charlotte area. I will tell you that I don't have a lot of information in regards to that. I've been, again, fortunate enough that we got pictures of Vimy. I do have them on social network. And also, we were at Vimy Ridge just after the raising of the new Maple Leaf in '65. So that's such an honor that I had the opportunity to, be there. My grandfather enlisted in the war March 15th, 1916, was sent overseas. Unfortunately, or fortunately probably for my grandfather, he was wounded before Vimy and didn't have the opportunity of taking part in that particular battle. My grandfather, a 19-year-old, was wounded, lost his leg. And I can remember, it's hard to remember a lot about my grandfather. He passed away in '57. But one of the stories that he told, he can remember he was wounded on the battlefield, and he was lying there in the mud, going in and out of consciousness. And my grandfather said that he can remember seeing this lady on the other side of the river, and he said she was a nice-looking lady. It looked so calm and peaceful, calling him to come to the other side. My grandfather truly believes if he had have decided to cross the river that he wouldn't have survived his wounds. And like most soldiers that were wounded in the First World War, they ended up not dying by the wound, but dying by the infection that the wound caused. And again, my grandfather was fortunate enough that his leg became infected. They did remove his leg, and he did survive the war and came home. Married my grandmother in 25, and had a great career up in northern New Brunswick. He was from Camelton, lived and worked, lived in Edmundston, and worked for Fraser's. My father was a member of the Black Watch, which I'm sure most people know, and so we spent 63 to 65 in Germany. And since my father, a member of the military, certainly a military buff, we had the opportunity to visit many of the war graveyards, which I'll tell you are certainly moving and inspiring. And you go and look at these graveyards, and you think that it's a carpet of green. There's not a blade of grass out of place, and there's not a bit of paper or litter in the whole grounds. We used to go to Holland, the Netherlands, quite often, and the Canadians were held in such high regard that we would phone the place that we stayed, and we stayed in, it would be a little bed and breakfast. And the people were so appreciative. They said, look, we don't care, we don't matter what time you get there, the door's going to be open, the beds are going to be turned down. And you know, that's what we received all over Europe. And you know, it all stemmed back in those dark days in Vimy. So we're certainly very fortunate the way the wars turned out, that we have democracy. We're very fortunate to be Canadians. And I will tell you that I've been very fortunate to have the opportunity to visit Vimy Ridge on a few occasions, and I certainly would and hope to make it back there before long. I'm very pleased also that it sounds like the government's going to support this motion, and that's what democracy is all about. Opposition and government working hand in hand. So I'd like to congratulate my colleague and my seatmate from Carleton for bringing this motion forward. I feel that it's a very honorable motion, and I certainly think that all members in the House should certainly be proud of supporting this motion. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.